How enjoyable it is to live in the coldest village in the world. Temperatures as low as -70 degrees. If you go out to pee, you may freeze to death. This is Yakutsk. It is located in the northern part of the Siberian continent, very close to the Arctic Ocean. It's Saha-Yaku, Russia, the capital of the Autonomous Republic. This city is also the coldest city in the world. In winter, if the temperature can exceed -30 degrees, it will be warm. Even so, there are 320,000 people living here. The wealthy people who live here. It has already moved to another place. Some rich people will also be at their coldest. Fly to Sanyu or Thailand. Enjoy for a while. But that's a minority. Because they are far from the Sanya River. Thailand is across the Chinese mainland. And mainland Russia. The amount spent is not a decimal amount. It's very cold here in winter. The temperature instantly went below -50 degrees. Boiling water freezes are things that can happen in the real world. It's very close to the Arctic Ocean. It can also be said that this is a small North Pole. Take out a banana and put it outside. In a few minutes he can turn into a hammer. Even if you use it to drive nails, it can be easily driven in. When traveling in winter, you can't even wear metal glasses. Because the cold weather will damage the skin and gold. Gene is frozen together. Forced separation can even tear the skin apart. This is often the case in winter. Northeasterners who lick metal railing should be very experienced. Northeast China can freeze its tongue in an instant. Not to mention Yakutsk at -50 degrees. The winter here is different from ours. The winter here usually lasts for 6 to 7 months. During the year, it has been in winter for almost half a year. It can also be said to be a season similar to winter, because it's as cold as winter. Spring and autumn, the people here don't seem to have seen it before. It feels just after a short summer. I'm going to put on the down jacket at home soon. Most of the residents here do not know how to buy a car, so it's pretty tough to get around in the winter. And they normally say no. Only when there is no other way, we'll choose to drive. Because here once the engine starts, it can't be turned off anymore. Even if you drive to your destination. As long as you don't leave for a long time, the engine won't stop. Because here, about 20 minutes, the engine is completely frozen. Then the vehicle can be announced. Temporarily scrapped. It is also for this reason. Although there are few people in the city, but the visibility in the air is not very high either. Visibility here is less than 50 meters. The daily fuel consumption is also very exaggerated. It's not that much lower than the megacities. Here in Yakutsk, the refrigerator may be one of the most useless things. After all, the temperature here is only a tiny fraction of the time above zero. The average temperature of the year is only -0, about 8 degrees. Just find a rope to hang it outside is better than the refrigerator. Even if you put it in the house, beverages at room temperature are cooler than those taken out of the refrigerator. Unlike the usual urban layout. The natural gas pipeline here is laying directly on the ground. It's not buried deep underground, because the soil here is basically frozen. Even if it is forcibly dug, it's about the same temperature down here as it is outside. It's not protective. Might as well put it outside. At least it's more convenient to do repairs this way. This city, it's been around since the time of the Soviet Union. Except at that time it was used as a place of exile, probably similar to the exile of Lingnan and the exile of Ninguter. But compared to them, it's still worse here. After all, the weather in Lingnan and Ninguter, it's a lot better than this. In winter, the pace of life here can be very slow. Because very few people go out unless they have to. Even if you wear 2 layers of down jackets, 15 minutes of outdoor activities, the body will also feel intense discomfort. Electronic devices, etc. It's even worse here. Devices such as mobile phones are under severe pressure. It's hard to hold on in cold weather. Especially Apple phones. Here it is. You can see the 100% charge last second. The next second, it will be out of power and shut down immediately at -70 degrees. How cool is it to live in the coldest place on Earth? Diamonds everywhere. Venison and fish are eaten casually. This is the coldest village in the world. Yakutsk as the coldest place in the world. Logically speaking, this place is not suitable for human survival. But there are still over 300,000 people living here. Except for that year. Except for the group of people exiled from the Soviet Union. There are other reasons. Because it is rich in gold, gems, natural gas, etc. It can be said that although the weather is a little colder, but there's money everywhere. These resources, enough to support the residents who live here. You can even raise a lot of rich people. All the diamonds in the world, 20% of the stone resources, are in Yakutsk. It can be said that on this alone, it can make the people here live very rich. Diamonds are the most violent products in the world. Here lies the largest diamond mine in the world. There are also many people who come here to work every year. It has greatly promoted the development of local residents, except for gems like diamonds. There is also a lot of gold here. 2019 only, a total of 36.5 tons of gold were mined in the Yakutsk region. 120.6 tons of silver, 19.2 million tons, 38.5 million carats of diamonds. But from this we can see, how rich are the resources of this area. Such abundant natural resources. nature can generate a large number of gold diggers. And among these gold diggers, some stayed and settled completely. And that, of course, complements the population of the region. This is why the environment here, obviously not suitable for human survival, but still the main reason for the large population. After all, where you can make money is a good place, even if it's very cold. There are only about 5 months in a year. Can enjoy a warmer environment? There's nothing stopping people from coming here to make a fortune. It's not just about resources. It's also a great place for paleontological research. Here it is. It doesn't matter if the temperature on the ground is sub-zero or above zero. Temperatures for meters underground. It stays at about -8 degrees forever. The remains of this ancient creature are preserved. It has a good effect. In the area, it has been unearthed. Lots of mammoths and dinosaurs. Even once in this area, the complete carcass of a mammoth that has appeared. It can be said that the biological sample is very well preserved. The study of paleontology has played a lot of help. Of course, there is something very bad about such an environment. That is a completely inconvenient burial. Even being buried in the summer is definitely not a thing. Permafrost is very difficult to excavate. One person is buried, and many people are busy for days. To be buried, the first is to prepare a large amount of coal. Raise a fire at the burial place. Let the fire melt the ice and snow inside the land. Under normal circumstances, such a fire will last for 2 to 3 days. To thaw the soil, because only by thawing the permafrost, to facilitate the later excavation of the tomb. After the flames go out, a shovel can dig up the soil. Under normal circumstances, it can dig up to 1 or 2 meters deep, but when you come back later, it's going to go back to the permafrost. It can be said that the remains of most people in the cemetery, it's still the same. It is because of these circumstances, so the land here is not suitable for farming at all, or impossible to farm at all. After all, even in the rare summer months, the temperature underground is still very low. Crops simply don't survive. Vegetarian dishes here are much more expensive than meat dishes. It's not something that ordinary people can afford. Fresh vegetables must be imported. Most people buy a big fish, hanging directly outside. Just take it when you want to eat it. A fish can be eaten for several days. After all, this is a giant ice cellar. Almost no matter how you put it, it will not rot. How exaggerated is the coldest village on Earth? The minimum temperature is -70 degrees. Underground permafrost does not melt for thousands of years. Located in the northern part of the Siberian mainland, Yakutsk, it is the coldest village in the world. Here are some during the year. It's winter for about 7 months. Yakutsk is the closest city in the world, Arctic city. The temperature difference varies greatly from year to year. When the temperature is high, it can reach more than 30 degrees. But when it's cold, it's as cold as the Arctic. The temperature difference throughout the year can be as much as 100 degrees. The seasons here are very different from anywhere else. Only June, July, and August are the 3 months of summer. 7 months is winter. Only 2 months are spring and autumn. The maximum temperature is 30 degrees. Only a few days in a year. The rest of the time, the temperature here is only in the 20s, except for 3 months this summer. The rest of the month, basically, the temperature will not exceed 20 degrees. There are even times when there will be endless years here. The temperature will not exceed 10 degrees for a year. So the animals that live here, they're basically thick-skinned creatures. Cats are very rare here. You could even say the last sentence. It is not too much to cherish animals. People who can drive here. It is not a general reason. Without a very skilled repair technique. So if there is an abnormality in the car, if there is no signal around, then you can basically declare death. Because of the severe temperatures here, we'll freeze the engine in half an hour. You can only walk back and call for rescue. You rarely see homeless people on the streets here. It's not because the law and order here is good, or the people lived in abundance. And because in such an environment, homeless people spend the night outside. Maybe just freeze to death. There's another reason. There are lots of mines. As long as the body is healthy and the IQ is normal, you can apply for money or not, put aside. At least keep the homeless well fed. The students here can be said to be quite happy. As long as the temperature is below -40 degrees, basically you don't have to go to school. This means that during the winter, they have a long winter vacation. But relatively, they don't seem to have summer vacations because the winters here are unusually long. Every household will have a heater. But there are a lot of heaters can catch fire due to aging. So the fire brigade here is also very busy. The fire brigade is very respected here. There is even a saying, that's the fire brigade here with Putin. Enjoy the same treatment. And this is how you see it. The level of respect people have for the fire brigade. There are also many farms here. Except, unlike most farms, these farms are not open. The animals even have their own room. Especially cows. This is better than the homeless on our side. They don't even know what it's like to be cold. I was born with my own house. And live here until you die. There are 2 ways to get water here. One is crushed ice. Collect large amounts of ice during the winter. Stacked outside, melt those ice cubes when needed. The other is to break through thick ice. Then fetch water. Normally, they work together. And get water fast. Because water freezes very quickly here. Fresh whole. It only takes an hour to be as good as ever. The traditional food here is very simple. Under normal circumstances, all kinds of meat or dairy products. Of course, there are also some summer pulps. Fermented jam. Jam is especially popular here. After all, the time to pick berries is short. Rare is precious. Homebrew jam is often not enough to eat at home. So little takeout. And for the people here, they are used to the temperature here. Only -40 degrees is called winter. As long as the temperature is higher than this, can be considered good weather. It's often about 45 degrees below zero to make them feel the obvious cold.